it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I have a Cricut bulk make, inverted commas, Christmas card set for you. Now, I usually, when I do these bulk makes, I only do 4 or 6 cards, but obviously these could easily be done in multiples of any number you want to do. You can just copy and paste the design and keep going, or just cut more of them depending on how it works out on the actual pages. So what we've got here today is something that I already designed. What I will do is I will put this on the website so that you can download that if you want to save you actually having to do any of the actual work. But I'll tell you what I've done so far, and then we'll just do the last little bit just to show you that last little bit. So first of all, I went into the shapes here and I got myself some squares. I made it to the 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I then cut out from that 2 little sort of oblongs. So basically what it left was this panel here in the center, and then 2 gaps here and here. I then took my snowflake, put it over the center, making sure that it touched the top and bottom here, and obviously it's already over the sides, so that's over the center I mean, so that's no problem. And then I just welded it together and it created this here. I then replicated that 4 times, but as I said, you could do that as many as you liked. I then taking the shapes again, I created an oblong which was 5 3/4 again across, so it's going to be exactly the same width. You could make it slightly smaller if you wanted to kind of have the mat so that it went to the inside line rather than the outside line. I decided I wanted it to there, and then I put my sentiments over the top. I made sure that they were the written sentiments, not a cut, so you want to make sure that it's draw, and then you make sure it's all centralized. You grab both of them and then you do attach. You have to make sure you do attach when you put, because when you put a sentiment over a box like this, Cricut is just thinking that you're doing the design and you're thinking about, oh, I want you know, this snowflake here, so unless I welded it, it wouldn't know I wanted it together. And the same with the sentiment, it doesn't know that I want the two together, so unless you do attach, it will actually have the sentiment not with the box, so you must make sure you do that. As I said, I've done that already. If you do download this, all you need to do, if you haven't got these specific sentiments, then just do that, then do detach. So we'll do that just to show you. Then you can grab that sentiment. You can see now the sentiment is now separate. You can delete that using the cross there. I'm not going to do it. And then put your own sentiment in, and then again just grab the whole thing. Just by doing that, that grabs both elements. You can see here that you've grabbed the text element and the square element, and then just click on attach again. So it's very simple if you haven't got these particular sentiments but you do want to have this download to save you doing all this work. So you can leave it like this if you want, and I will probably leave it plain on the download for you, because I think it would look really nice white on white, so I don't want to mess around with it in case that's what you want to do. But this is another thing you can do. If you want to do a colour for this layer, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to do actually a pattern paper for this layer, then you want to, but you don't want it to be the same as this. So for example here, this part, this mat here, the sentiment, I want to be white. So I need to tell the Cricut that it's going to be separate, because if we hit make it, for example, what you can see here is that the Cricut thinks it's all the same colour, so we're going to put it all on the same mat. Well, obviously if you're doing some in pattern paper, some not, then that's not going to work for you. So what we're going to do is and this is something you can do if you want to do it patterned or coloured like I'm doing. It doesn't matter what you put this on. You could do it sky blue pink, as long as it's different to this. It really doesn't matter that it matches what you're doing. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to grab just one of them at this point. It really doesn't matter. Then you want to go up to this little box, because it's white, it's not terribly obvious, but just go up to this little box and pick any colour. Now, it doesn't really matter, but I'm doing blue, so I'm going to use blue. It's actually a very delicate blue pattern. It's not a big bright blue like that. So now we've got one of them coloured. So then we go across to Colour Sync, and then we can just very easily grab these here and drop. So you can see here, this is white, and so we've got our little white sentiments, and we've got our white snowflake layer. So you're just going to put your mouse on it, click on it, hold it down and drag it to where the blue is, and do the same again till you've got all four down. So when we click on Make It, what you'll see is we've got 4 sentiments on one page. At the moment it's saying it's 12 by 12. That's fine, we'll adjust that just to be sure it'll fit on my A4, because I've got A4 piece of card for that one. And then at the moment we've got our 4 blue ones on 4 separate 12 by 12 blue sheets. When I will show you how we can alter that as well. So we're going to go to the last one, so that's sheet 5, and click on the actual image here on this page over here, and then you'll see 3 little dots, and it says move object, and then you can click where you want to move it to. So let's move it to page 1 and confirm, and as you can see it popped it over the top of what was there. Now you can see that's fitting in just fine on that 12 by 12. It's just touching there. I reckon we could probably get all 4 on. Okay, so now it just says continue. The other thing that I did was I did decide to put all 4 on one sheet. I thought I'd give it a go. I feel like it will work. It doesn't look like it's not fitting. I think it should be okay. So I've done that, and I've got this ready to go as well. So the only thing now is for us to obviously set up the machine, put the paper on the mat, etc, etc. So I'm not going to continue filming on here, because literally all I'm going to do is click continue, and it just comes up with things like you need to put in your pen, or if you've got a score tool, whatever, it lets you know that on this particular mat you need to do X, Y or Z into your machine. So let's hop on over to the craft desk and get going there. Okay, so we've got here a couple of Cricut pens to do our sentiments. So I'm just trying to decide which of the 2 I want. So I've kept both of those. This is my 2 sheets of card that I picked out. I have to be honest, I don't know what they are. They were just in my stash. I'm going to use these for my card base, so we're going to cut those in a minute ready. Then I've got this lovely set of paper that I got, again, it was in my stash. I would doubt it's around still because I've had it a long time, but there are always things very similar to the one that I'm going to be using, which is why I wanted to try and get it onto one sheet, because I've literally only got one sheet left, and it's this lovely snowflake, which so you can easily find pale blue sort of snowflake pattern papers. So I'm just going to pop this piece of card, and then we've got to decide on these markers. I feel like the darker one actually is going to be better, because I think it's going to show better, and it's going to just go with the background a little better, so it will bring that together, it'll sort of link that. So all I'm going to do now is pop this marker into the A holder. So you're just going to open that up, you're going to hold it up so you can't kind of see it from the top, but it actually does lift, so make sure you lift it, pop it in till it clicks, and then let go and lock it, and then it's done and ready to go. So that's all done. So now we're just going to click continue. We're going to load our mat, and then we're going to click continue, and we're going to let that get on and do the writing and cutting, and then also our second layer with this. While it's doing all of that, we're going to prep our card bases. Okay, so as you can hear, the Cricut is off doing its little writing and stuff. So while it's doing that, and then obviously we need to cut sheet 2 as well, I'm going to prepare our card bases. So we're doing 6x6 cards. The layers are 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and so I want to obviously, as I say, make a 6x6 card. This is 12 by 12, so we can make 2 cards out of each one. Yay! So that's 2 cards. We're going to score those in a moment, and then we're going to do the second one and score at 6 inches. And I like to fold where so you've got the dipped part where you scored. I like to fold with the other part, the raised part, on the inside, and then I butt that up against the little edge here, and that way you can be sure that it's square and straight when you score that. And there's our 6x6 card. Okay, so that's all 4 scored, and the first layer is cut and drawn, so we're just gonna take those off the background, but I thought I'd show you how that's come out. Isn't that lovely with the pen? They've turned out really, really nicely. I have to say, I think that's probably my favourite. I love the font on that one. That's come out, in fact they've all come out really nicely. I think they work really well, and the colour goes really nice. It's harder to see on here, I think, because it looks just dark, but it goes really well with that as well. And just to say, that one is called Lupin. So I'm going to peel this off nice and carefully. I'm going to get all these little bits out, and it's cut, basically these lines here, it essentially went over them twice because they were in the same place, so that was really cool. I'm just trying to get one out so that we can show you, and then I can do the rest off camera, because you don't want to sit there watching me peel these off. And I tend to do it like that, so I pull the mat and curve the mat back, because otherwise what happens is your paper curves, and you don't really want that to happen. So here is our little bit all cut. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to take the rest of them off, and then I'll come back to you when that's done. So the next thing, so that's all cut out. We've put that on to one side now, and the next thing I wanted to do was I've taken a slightly darker blue to our card base, just to add another sort of colour tone. It's within the same family of blues, but it just adds a different sort of dimension to it by adding a slightly different colour, whereas if you did it the same colour as the background, it would look really nice, but it just might look a little flat. This gives it that little bit of extra dimension. So I've cut it to 5 3/4 long, so that's the same width as our sentiment, and our sentiment is 1 1/4, so I'm cutting this to 1 1/2, so that creates a mat of 1/4 inch, sorry, 1/8 of an inch each side, like so. Okay, so I think that's all our elements ready to go, so now it's to construction. So I'm just using tape pen on the back here, and I'm doing all 4 at the same time with the glue, and then I will stick them down because it just ends up quicker that way. When you're bulk doing, if you can do a job kind of in its entirety, it's always quicker. I don't know why, it just always seems, I think it's because you're sort of picking up tools, putting them down or whatever, and you end up taking more time because of that. Okay, so put that to one side. Now we want to grab our layers here. Now these I will be doing one at a time, but I'm going to stack my
cards just to make sure all the folds are at the top. I've got some wet adhesive, and I'm just going to very carefully put a little bit all the way around the edges here, because we don't want sort of like super amount of leakage or anything like that. A bit in the middle there, and then a little on these dots, just to make sure these little pieces stay stuck as well. I don't like those lifting up. You might like that effect. It's just personal. Okay, and then because it's wet glue, I don't want to sit around and let it kind of set. So I'm going to grab my first front. And then we're going to pop him down on there like so. So I'm going to do the other 4 and then I'll come back to you because you don't need to see me doing all of those. Okay, so that's all 4 done. They're looking really good, I think. So now we want to put our little sentiments on. So again, for this, I am just going to do all 4. I'm going to use the wet glue because this has got the heavy card on the back as well. So I want to be sure that they stay stuck. But I think we can be quick enough to do at least 2 at a time, if not all 4. And then stick this down across the centre so it will line up with the sides of our patterned piece, and then an even gap top and bottom of the pattern paper as well. Okay, so we'll just pop that to one side and then get the next one ready. And that's the 4 fronts done. And doesn't that look nice? Now you can leave the inside completely blank if you want, or you could put some pattern paper in there. I want to put something in there just to make it look, because it's quite nice on the front, but it depends on how many you're doing, whether you want to do that. Because I've only got 4, I'm quite happy to add that little extra to the inside. So I got this lovely little sort of snowfall pattern from that set, and I'm just going to cut that down to about 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. So just before we start doing any gluing, we want to just be sure, if I can actually separate it, that it's going to fit, which it is. So all I'm going to do is, I'm going to put those to one side a minute, take these like so, take my tape pen and then run a bit of tape just across the top. So what you want to do is make sure that you get it lined up. If you line it up at the bottom so all 3 sides are correct, then in theory the top should work, and that's when you stick that down, and then that makes it a lot easier. And as you can see, because you've only had to do one side, but then you get that kind of really nice look as well. And there they are, almost finished, but I wanted to just add one more thing. Now you could choose to leave this out if you wanted to, because you might think, well, that just adds that little extra thickness you might not want to do, but I think that it's just going to look really nice just to add a little bit of something. Again, it's not so high that it should make any difference to postage. I'm just going to add 3 little pearls in these corners down on this bottom edge here, and there we go. There they are, all done. Now of course you could do one in each corner, you could do it how you want, but okay, so that is it, all done. I hope you've enjoyed making these with me. As I said, originally I had planned on doing these as all white, but we'd done something similar before, so I thought, right, let's go for some colour this time. And so I like these sort of bluey tones, so that's what I thought we'd go for. I thought it worked really well with the snowflake as well, with that pattern paper. So I hope you like it as much as I do. Don't forget, as always, do hop on over to my blog post that goes with this video. There's a link in the paragraph below. It'll take you straight there. There's sort of photos and information, etc. And of course you can subscribe to the blog, and if you do that you will get notified every time there is a video. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.